Good morning, everyone. I wanted to just provide a little bit of an overview of Unit 6, which is focused on change management. And um, this is probably one of my favorite topics in the class, just because I know how important change management is in the implementation of health IT and especially electronic health records. And so the Unit 6 communication plan discussion is kind of a springboard off of the Unit 5 workflow diagram assignment. And so I just wanted to touch a little bit on a few things regarding that discussion. There's also an essay where you'll read a case study and then you'll answer some questions in an essay format. It's pretty straightforward, so I'm not going to really dive into that at all, but I did want to touch on this communication plan discussion. So I'm going to pull that up. All right. So here's a little bit of an introduction. Please take some time to read that. And then here's a reminder of what the scenario is. And so, you being the HIM manager and which you oversee, and that the organization is implementing CPOE. And so now that you guys have an understanding of what CPOE is and how it works, now we want to talk about how are you going to communicate the changes associated with this implementation. And so what I want you to do is make sure that you've read pages 165 to 169 in the Margaret A textbook. And then in an initial post, you're going to identify two key messages that you feel should be communicated during the CPOE implementation process. And then along with that, provide rationale for each of those messages. And so I want you to use this table below here to identify and share those key messages. But just a couple of things. One is that it can really be the messages can be at any point along the implementation project. So as it says here, it gives an example of, it can be even before the software application is selected. So what would be important to communicate at that point prior to a phase of the project? So maybe you're even getting into training. And so what should be communicated prior to the training phase of the project? And then, and then my next example is training plans and testing. So sorry, I actually didn't read through this morning. I just was going to kind of share this off the cuff. So, um, and so what I want you to use is that table. And for each of the messages, I want you to just summarize the message in this first column. So what is the key message? Then I want you to identify who would send the message. So is it the project manager? Is it administration? Getting their buy-in and their support is often really, crucial to success of an implementation, knowing that they're behind the implementation because change is hard, right? And so consider who the sender might be. Then consider the receivers. So who should receive this message? Okay. Is it the entire nursing staff? Um, is it just HIM staff? Is it HIM and admitting? Who is this going to be, who is the intended receiver of this message? And so think about that carefully, like who would be involved in the process that you're communicating, okay? And then communication medium is how are you going to deliver this message? Is it in a meeting? Is it in an email? Is it a newsletter? Those types of mediums is what I'm talking about in that column. And then when. So when should the message be sent? Okay. And so timing is also important. You don't want to send out information too early, but yet you want it to be, you want to give people heads up, right? And so thinking about the timing of that is also important. So make sure that when you're filling these out, make sure that you're looking at this from a big picture and really considering the stakeholders involved from beginning to end, okay, of that process or whatever it is that you're communicating. Then after you're done, just you can just simply copy and paste this table into the discussion forum. Then after you've done that, then provide just a summary rationale behind both of the key messages. And so I want you to just, briefly describe the key message for each one now this is, and then explain why you chose to communicate the message to the receiver that you identified. Explain why you chose the message to come from the person you selected as the sender, and then explain why you chose the communication medium you did. So just basically providing your rationale behind the message in its entirety, okay? And then, of course, if you're using any references or any literature, make sure that you're citing that as well, okay? And then reply to two of your classmates and their communication plan. Please provide helpful feedback in terms of, if there's something maybe that was overlooked, if there's something that should also be considered, anything like that. Personal experience is always wonderful as well. So if you do have any questions on this, please don't hesitate to drop me an email. I can't believe we're already getting close to the end of the term. This is kind of flown by. And so I know with everything going on that that will be a welcome break for all of you. So hang in there. And like I said, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Okay. All right. Have a great week.